Well, good morning, Santa Clarita. Welcome in. Happy Friday. Happy Friday indeed. Just cracked my first cup of coffee for the morning. It's beautiful outside. Welcome. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and our show, Eye on the Valley. If you're new to our show, it is brought to you by SCVi and iLead Schools. We are a network of charter schools. We've got campuses in Castaic, Agua Dulce, Lancaster. We've got a fully accredited online school that is TK through 12. I was actually at an informational meeting for iLead Online last night. Lots of families continuing to sign up. It blows my mind what a great program they run at iLead Online. All of our schools are just doing fantastic things with kids TK through 12, all for an amazing free price tag. That's right, we are free public charter schools. We've got an amazing homeschool program as well called iLead Exploration. For more information on any of our schools, our online school, our homeschool, our campus-based schools, check us out at iLeadschools.org. We've got something for every learning style. You know, every kid learns differently, and they all deserve a high-quality, personalized education. That's what we're offering at iLead Schools. Again, check us out at iLeadschools.org. So, yeah, we keep a close watch on education here in Santa Clarita and across the nation. We also keep our eye on the Valley as well, bringing you everything that you need to know about what's what here in the Valley. And, we also giggle and goof and laugh and have a good time because, that's what life's all about, right? Loosen up a little bit, relax, let's have a good time. It's going to be another absolutely stunning weekend here in the Valley. I know, I say that a lot. As a matter of fact, if you listen to this show with any regularity, it seems like that's just part of my intro now, is to comment on how amazing the weather is here in Santa Clarita and the Antelope Valleys. And when you live here in SoCal, the weather is either a little hot or absolutely perfect. So, what are you going to do? Well, Frogger, I guess you could stop commenting on it every single week. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, here's something else I say darn near every week. We've got a great show for you. And again, that too is true just about every single week. Producer Sarah comes up with a great show pretty much every single week, and this week is no exception. And here's what I mean. Coming up in just a minute, you'll meet Deborah Autry. Deborah Autry she's new to our show, and she is new-ish in the director role at iLead Lancaster. She's been with us for a few years now, but she was promoted last year, and this is just the first time that we've had a chance to have her on the radio. And we'll chat with Deborah. You'll get to know all about this amazing school that's it's just busting at the seams up there in Lancaster. Then in hour number 2, we will catch up with someone who's becoming quickly one of my BFFs, Carolyn Olson. She's the executive director and co-founder of FYI. That is, for your information, that stands for Fostering Youth Independence. They are a nonprofit here in town who are doing some of the most important and incredibly inspirational work to make sure that foster teens transition into adulthood successfully. And speaking of success, they're having amazing levels of success. They're growing. I'll have Carolyn tell you all about it in hour number 2. And then, as always, Big T will be here at the end of the show to wrap things up for us. Big T, he brings trivia questions, he brings fun facts, and we go into the weekend with a little bit of goofiness and silliness. And because it's now officially the fall and college football season, he's got Papa's Pick of the Week. So that's where Dad sends us his meaningless college football pick for those of you that enjoy picking football teams. So let's go ahead and do it. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, given the state of communication in 2024, there's about a half dozen ways that you can tune in to hear our show here on KHTS. You can actually watch the show live, sort of peer in on the studio via the KHTS Facebook live feed. Hey, how you doing? Good to see you. So you can watch the show on the KHTS Facebook live feed. You can listen on your AI device by saying, watch this, I'm going to get somebody, Jen. Alexa, play KHTS. And then boom, all of a sudden, there I am, right there in your living room. You can stream the show live on the KHTS website, hometownstation.com. You just click the little speaker there, the little microphone, and you can stream live. I think that's how producer Sarah dials in when she's out at our schools or community events or driving from one to another. You can also download the KHTS radio app, go mobile with us, and take us right there in your pocket. And of course, you can still listen to us old school style on terrestrial radio, AM 1220 and FM 98.1. And those terrestrial radio signals are strong, not only throughout Santa Clarita, but all the way up throughout the Antelope Valley, which is where my first guest is calling in from this morning. Deborah Autry is the dynamic, new-ish director of iLead Lancaster. She's got over 17 years of experience in education. Deborah has been an integral part of the iLead Lancaster leadership team as a leadership resident previously. Her impressive background includes roles as a teacher, instructional coach, and specialist in inclusion and blended learning. Deborah holds a bachelor's degree in sociology, a master's in educational administration, and an education specialist degree in curriculum, instruction, and assessment, and she's currently pursuing her doctorate of education in the same field. Known for her passion for academic excellence and inclusive education, Deborah is dedicated to fostering lifelong learning and empathy. We're excited to have her here at the helm at iLead Lancaster and to lead them into a bright future. Deborah, welcome to Eye on the Valley.
Good morning. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're so glad you're joining us, and we're so glad that you're there at the captain's chair at iLead Lancaster. So, Deborah, I mentioned that you were the kind of new-ish director. The folks at iLead Lancaster know you well. You've been there for quite a while. So, how long's it been now? Can you tell us a little bit about your personal story? What inspired you to work in education? What brought you to iLead Lancaster? And then how you've grown in that role since you've been there?
Yes. Well, I've always loved school. As a little girl, I loved to go to school. I don't think I missed very many days from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. So I've always had a passion for learning, and I always had wonderful, amazing teachers who made a difference in my life. And so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make, positive social change. And so when I went to college, I thought, how could I do that on a bigger scale? So I actually went in a different direction initially when I went to college. I started out as in public administration.
Okay.
And I had an opportunity to do an internship, and I thought, well, no, this is not my passion. And so I got on the right path, and then as I finished my sociology degree, I went back into education. And from my very first day in the classroom as a third grade teacher, I knew that was my place, that was my calling. That's how I can make positive social change, and I've been in education ever since. And so what led me to iLead, I just love what happens here at iLead is very different from other schools, and so it gave me an opportunity to try to do more than what I was able to do at a district school. So I'm excited to be here.
Well, we are excited to have you, and I do want to talk about that, about what iLead does so differently from a traditional district school, what iLead Lancaster does differently. But let's talk for a second about how your role has changed, because you joined iLead Lancaster, what was it, about 3 years ago now?
Yes, that's correct.
So, and you joined us as a leadership resident. Can you talk about what that role is and then how your role has changed over the last couple of years?
Right. So the leadership resident is better known as assistant principal.
There you go.
People would know that. And so really my role as leadership resident was one to assist the school director in day-to-day operations of iLead Lancaster. And so that was my role then, and how it has changed now being the school director. The school director is really more so the instructional leader of the campus and also running the day-to-day. So, still doing the same things, but in a broader sense in instructional leadership plays a more crucial role.
There you go. And instructional leadership, gosh, I couldn't think of a better pedigree looking at your resume. You're the perfect person to, like I said, lead iLead Lancaster into the bright future that lies ahead. You talked about how iLead does education differently. Can you explain to our listeners a little bit more what sets iLead apart, what sets iLead Lancaster apart from the way things are done at the traditional district schools?
Yes, so here at iLead Lancaster, we really focus on, we're really learner-centered here. It's really the learners have voice and choice, and that's very rare in your traditional district school. And so it's really very learner-centered. We're really focusing on equipping our learners to be leaders. And so in doing so, we really value some core values that we want our learners to have. So, we incorporate them to be lifelong learners. And what does that mean? That means that they're focusing on their personal gifts, right? We want them to be empathetic citizens, right? Their appreciation not only for themselves but for others. We want them to be authentic, individuals. They have to be true to themselves. And last but not least, we want them to be design thinkers, right? We want them to be creative, imaginative individuals. And that's very rare at other, district schools. So I'm pleased to say that we do that, and we do that with greatness. And that's one way that we are different from other traditional district schools.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It seems like still in 2024, so many classrooms are focused on compliance, right? Do what you're told to do, do it how you're told to do it, and they're focused on really teaching every child the same way, and kids don't learn the same way. So you provide this amazing education through a vehicle called project-based learning. Can you explain to our listeners a little bit about what project-based learning is and why that's so important in developing exactly what you said, those empathetic citizens, those leaders in the 21st century?
Yes, so project-based learning is so important, and it's really so crucial. It really is a way that we can improve our learning. Really learners learn by doing, hands-on approach. And that's the best way to describe project-based learning. It's more engaging. It incorporates so many things. We can incorporate technology, and it's a way that learners can connect with the real world. So it's a great way to just encompass everything within a project. So project-based learning is really a great way to incorporate the curriculum and so many other things. We foster our learners. We want them to be individuals, and so we're able to foster a love of learning because it is hands-on and it's certainly things that they enjoy and they can be engaged with. And so it helps them to be the future leaders that we want them to be. It's really an opportunity for them to empower their learning and also to take ownership of their learning experience. So it's a great thing.
Right, and that gets back to what you mentioned, that voice and choice, right? It's not do you want to do your classwork or not. It's how do you want to get this project done? And they put so much of themselves into it, which brings that buy-in, which just makes the learning so much more permanent. So let's give our listeners kind of an example or two. What are some of the amazing projects that you're either already seeing or that you're looking forward to? Maybe something that that was done on your campus last year. What are some of the exciting projects going on at iLead Lancaster?
Well, we have fifth grade, which is they're working on a project. They're driving, so every project has a driving question, right, that guides them with their project. So fifth grade's driving question is, how can I share my personal story with my family and friends through an autobiography? So as they go on and they're doing all of their curriculum, everything is embedded with this driving question in mind. So I'm excited to see how that, plays out with their project. And I'm always excited for the POLs, our presentation of learning, because that gives the learners the opportunity to showcase their learning. So we invite parents, guardians, they come. The learners have an opportunity to share their presentations. And then not only do they have the opportunity to share with the parents and guardians, but they also share with their fellow learners. So not only do they have the opportunity to present to their parents and guardians, but they also have the opportunity to present to other learners their passion and what they've learned. So that's always great. Each grade level has a POL, a presentation of learning. So it's really fun. And then it's fun to watch them as they're working through the projects. So, for example, as I was walking through first grade, they make the learning fun as they're working through their projects. So, for example, they're crafting sentences, and they're cutting, and they're using scissors and glue, and they're cracking codes, to make sentence scrambles, and they're rolling dice in math. And all of this is, again, part of our hands-on activities that we do that's embedded with our project-based learning.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun. Now, it does sound like a little bit of pressure as well. You've got kids as young as kindergarten presenting their learning, making presentations to their classmates, their families. That can be a high pressure situation, but I bet it really gets them used to, well, what they're going to need to do as business professionals, right? To be able to work with
Absolutely.
diverse groups of people and share what they know and make pitches, things like that. It really does seem to be preparing them for the real world, doesn't it?
It does, and that's really what project-based learning is all about, preparing them for the real world. And you're never too young. And so they learn at the very beginning, and so it becomes embedded in them as they progress through grade levels. It's just something that they know. It's something that this is what they know. And so they do it very well.
Well, that's interesting. You say they're never too young. As I look back on it, anybody who's ever met a 3-year-old knows that they're typically comfortable in a room, right? And they're glad to share what they know and what they think. It takes until a little bit later in life that we teach them that they shouldn't be talking so much, that what they have to say isn't as valuable. And I'm saying that tongue in cheek, right? Because that's something that, you don't teach out of your kids. You let them know, you've got something to contribute.
And what's amazing, when you walk through our learning spaces, when you walk through our classroom, you see our TK and our kinder using technology.
Oh, wow.
How amazing is that? They're using technology. They're doing, everything is incorporated in their learning. So it's amazing that, it almost seems like they're born knowing how to use technology. Right. They're very savvy, and they learn quickly.
Yeah, we call them
it's a great thing.
Digital natives. I want to talk to you about the
I like that.
the classroom spaces at iLead Lancaster, because those are very unique. I want to talk about some of the other innovative ways that you're doing teaching and learning there. We do need to take a quick break, Deborah. I'm talking to Deborah Autry, the director of iLead Lancaster, and we'll have more about her amazing school when we come back. I'm Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley, and you're listening to your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We're talking this morning with the director of iLead Lancaster, free public charter school serving grades TK through 8th grade. Her name is Deborah Autry this morning. Deborah, before the break, you were talking about all the exciting things that you're seeing at your school, iLead Lancaster, as you walk through the classroom spaces. And it's a little bit easier of a stroll for you as a school leader as you move through the spaces at iLead Lancaster. Can you talk about that? You've got some unusual spaces there at your school. Can you explain to our listeners who maybe haven't seen them?
We do, yes. So if for anyone who has not had the opportunity to be here on campus, we are an open concept school, which means we have no walls, no doors. So very interesting concept. And so when you walk in, for example, if you were to walk into any grade level, you will see 3 classrooms or learning spaces, but it's all open. Again, no walls, no doors. So it's very collaborative in terms of the facilitators and the learners. So that's a very unique opportunity. They get an opportunity to collaborate all day long with each other, and so that is very rare and something that you don't see in very many places. So we have our open concept And we also have some unique features here on campus. We have something called the Exploratorium, and that's our technology space. And it's something that we call a gymnasium of the mind.
Oh, nice.
Because it is fantastic. It's an amazing place. Again, you probably are hearing a recurring theme that I'm saying in terms of hands-on instruction. So again, the Exploratorium is a great opportunity to do some hands-on things with the learners. They have an opportunity to do things such as 3D, to use 3D printers, robotics, piping. They're doing game development, animation.
Oh, wow.
And they also have the opportunity and access to digital media. And this is all part of our science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM, right, and digital arts. So it's a great learner approach, and all the learners love the Exploratorium. We also have a space called the Makery. And again, another hands-on opportunity for our learners. It's an opportunity for them to engage in science, engineering, and what we call creative tinkering. And so they get an opportunity to design experiments, and they build and they invent. For example, what they're working on right now, because we have our fall festival, which is coming up very soon. And so the learners built a ticket booth.
Oh, wow.
And it's so interesting. They made it was created out of pipes and wood.
Okay.
And so that's amazing to see, and they all take a part of it. And so, of course, when we have opportunities and they can showcase, again, they're showcasing their learning, all of our stakeholders who are at our events can see the great work that they're learning, and so they're proud to show that off. So that's always fun.
Yeah, Deborah, you mentioned you keep talking about how everything is designed with hands-on learning in mind, and I'm thinking about some of the most impactful things that I've ever learned in my life, and I got to say 90% of them at least were things that I did, right? Not things that I heard about or saw someone do. It's something that I stepped in and I did, I made, I created, I did with my hands. So that is so important. And you mentioned that's an important part of your project-based learning curriculum. You also integrate quite a bit of social-emotional learning, which is very important. Can you talk about, why social-emotional learning is so important and how you embed that throughout the curriculum?
Yes. So, yes, social-emotional learning is so crucial, and we embed that into our curriculum, into our project-based learning. So every morning, our elementary learners, when they have morning meeting, every morning when our middle school learners have advisory, the first part of the day is always focused on social-emotional learning.
Okay.
We are very big on 7 Habits by Franklin Covey, so we embed that every morning. We are talking about being proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, all of the 7 habits, seek first to understand, then to be understood, and synergize, and then, sharpen the saw. So all of those things are embedded. We talk about those daily. It's embedded in what we call their Individualized Learning Plan, ILP. So that's something that the learner, the facilitator, and the parent and guardian, they all come together to create this individualized learning plan, which includes a goal. Each learner sets a goal for their social-emotional learning. And as they're working throughout their project, they're keeping their social-emotional goal in mind. And then that's always reflected on at the end of the project to see where they are on their path. So it's a great thing that we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Learning to manage themselves, learning to manage others, learning to be good people. It's and then I know another part that that embeds a lot of the academic learning, the social emotional learning. You do that through, you've got a robust offering of extracurricular activities. What kind of extracurricular activities, enrichment programs, things like that, does iLead Lancaster offer to support your learners' interests and talents?
hmm We do a lot of things here at iLead Lancaster. We have sports, so we have cross country, we have basketball, we have soccer, we have track. So sports is a very big thing here. We also have ballroom dancing, and we go and we compete, and we have won medals and trophies. So we are some really great ballroom dancers here. We also have different kinds of clubs here. We have kindness club. We have robotics club. So we have, and the great thing about that I would love to share is that, again, speaking about learners' voice and choice, if they have an idea that they want to present to us, they can do so. If they have an idea about a club, they come and they present their ideas. And so, again, the presentation and the voice and choice, if it's they have a great plan, then they can create their own clubs here. And so, that's a lot of fun to do, and so they do that. We have opportunity for them to learn more digital arts and singing performance. We have choir. So there's so many things that we offer, and it's really endless because, again, if they have something that they have a passion about and they want to create a club, they can do so.
Well, that is beautiful. And again, you're TK through 8th grade. I don't know why schools think that kids need to wait until high school before they can get involved in intramural sports and all these different kinds of clubs and other leadership activities. And love hearing that you've got an award-winning ballroom dance team. That is so exciting. That is wonderful.
And it really keeps our learners engaged. They want to come to school, right, because they have all these things that they have created and that they can now be a part of. And so it makes it easy for them to want to come to school every day.
Sure, it builds that sense of identity and ownership and belonging. That is so exciting. Absolutely. No wonder your school is so popular. I mentioned it in the intro, Deborah, that your school is just busting at the seams, and you've got a pretty healthy, robust wait list. And so you're constantly hiring, right, to accommodate more learners and things like that. So what qualities do you look for in educators to join your team at iLead Lancaster?
Yes, so it is so very important to look for those core values that we instill. And so when we are looking for educators to join iLead Lancaster, we're looking for these core values. We're looking for them to be solution-oriented. We want them to be, have commitment to excellence. We want them to be empathetic. We want them to be inclusive collaborators. We want them to have integrity, and certainly we want them to be servant leaders.
Well, absolutely,
and so
you do.
That's what we look for.
And I find it fascinating a lot. Well, not fascinating. It makes absolute sense. The same type of person you're looking for to hire at iLead Lancaster is the same type of person you're looking to develop in your learners.
Absolutely.
So that makes sense, right?
Absolutely.
It's really tough.
We want our learners. Hopefully, our learners can see themselves in the facilitators that they have.
Yeah, that is so important because they're not, just workers. They're not just teachers. They are mentors. They are role models to your learners, and so that is important. Deborah, you've worked with us for a few years now. So if you've piqued someone's interest, what is it that makes working with iLead maybe different than working in a more traditional school?
Again, it's really that learner-centered environment in which we're in. It's not like that everywhere, and so it is so unique that the learners it's so learner-centered. It's so that they have, voice and choice. It's like, this is great. This is what engagement is all about. It's not you just come into a building, you sit down, and the facilitator is doing the work. That's why I love at iLead we use different terminology than other schools. For example, we don't call our teachers, they are facilitators because they facilitate, right? They're not doing all of the work. And so I love the things that we do. I love that the learners are learners, and we're not saying students, right? And so I think even the meaning, even the names that the titles and the phrases that we use mean something. And so it's just a very unique place. You don't get an opportunity to do all the things, wonderful things that we do here, you can't do everywhere. And so it just opens up the opportunity for learners to have a great experience, as well as the facilitators and staff, so everyone can have, a great experience on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I know, Deborah, like you, I had cultivated a career in education prior to coming to iLead, and when I got here, it was so refreshing in that I was finally allowed to do what I knew was right by my students, and that's exciting to be able to develop such amazing things with our kids. Speaking
it's great.
of amazing things, I know the school year has just started, but there's already a lot of exciting things going on around your campus at iLead Lancaster. What are some of the other examples? I know you've shared some already. What are some other examples of the fun, hands-on learning going on at your school as you prepare your students for that, for leadership in the real world?
Right. So, some of the fun things that they do, for example, sixth grade did a fascinating shark dissection.
Oh, wow.
It was fascinating. Also, seventh grade did a mushroom project where they literally grew mushrooms. Okay. It was amazing. Fantastic. And so, again, it's so many unusual. It's very innovative. It's very creative, the things that they get an opportunity to do on a daily basis. It's great.
Well, that is exciting. So, Deborah, if families are listening and they live in your area in kind of central Lancaster, you're very, very central to the city of Lancaster. How do they get more information about your school? How do they enroll? Or, gosh, how do they apply for a job?
Oh, yes. Well, please, you can always go to our website, iLeadLancaster.org. You can certainly give us a call at area code 661-722-4287. And we have job postings on our website. You can also go to EdJoin.
Okay.
And you will see all of our offerings as well. We're always looking for great facilitators and if they have those same core values, they are right in line with what we're doing here. We would love to meet them.
So that's iLeadLancaster.org. And Deborah, you mentioned how different your school is, right? And so it takes some time for families to kind of process, to warm up to the idea, because let's not forget, this is a really important decision that families are making when they're deciding which school to put their kids in. Do you have any type of do you offer tours or anything like that families can come get to know more about your school?
Absolutely. We do have tours. We have tours weekly. Oh. And so they always have the opportunity. If they go on our website, there's a button that they can click, and they can sign up for a tour. And we love to do tours. They happen weekly, and it's a great opportunity to come through. And if you've never seen Open Concept, it's something that you really want to come and see how your child would benefit in a nourishing environment such as this.
Yeah, absolutely. Y'all are doing great things. Again, if you're looking to apply for a job, if you're looking to sign your kid up or get more information, go to iLeadLancaster.org, click on Enroll Now, or click on Take a Tour and see what we're all about. One more time, that's iLeadLancaster.org. Deborah Autry, Director of iLead Lancaster. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Deborah. You have a great weekend.
Thank you, Matt. It was my pleasure.
Thank you very much. And you stick around because we've got more coming, including what's coming up this weekend, as well as some very inspirational work that Fostering Youth Independence is doing. I am Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Just want to thank Deborah Autry, Director of iLead Lancaster, one more time for joining us. Again, probably one of, if not the most innovative schools I've seen in a long, long time. They're doing things differently, so if you're interested, take a tour. And I tell you what, I like to tell people a little bit of a hack with our schools, since we are charter schools. I encourage people to fill out the application as quickly as possible. That gets you as far up on the wait list as possible, and then go take a tour. And if you decide after taking a tour that it's not for you, you can pull your application. There's no deposit because we're a free public charter school, so you lose nothing. But if you fill out that application earlier, you may gain a spot or two on the wait list. They do have an active wait list at iLead Lancaster, but I know it's early in the year, so they are pulling people off of that wait list almost every day. So yeah, check them out at iLeadLancaster.org. So gosh, I'm looking at my weather app here. It's going to be in the mid-80s this weekend, sunny, absolutely perfect here in the valley. And actually, it's going to dip down a little bit toward the end of the weekend. Sunday's going to cool off a little bit. It's going to be beautiful here. So what are you doing this weekend? Let's head on over to hometownstation.com and see what's crack-a-lackin' this week-a-leakin'. So what do you got going on? What are you doing? Well, just a couple days ago, we honored those fallen during Patriots Day, and we've got a Patriots Day celebration going on this weekend. It is the 4th annual Patriot Day car show and free breakfast. That is Saturday, tomorrow, September 14th at the Higher Vision Church parking lot right there on the old road, remembering 9/11. This is put on by Guardians SCVi. So one more time, that is tomorrow morning, September 14th, honoring those fallen on 9/11. Hey, the circus is back in town. The Big Top is back, Circus Vargas. I actually, when they were in Ventura a couple months ago, stopped by and saw the show. They actually put on a really good show at Circus Vargas, and they've got a new kind of spin on what a circus clown is. It's not these guys pouring out of a Volkswagen with face makeup on anymore that you're seeing in your nightmares.
It's not your mama's circus clown anymore.
This is not your mama's crazy psychopath clown. They are what clowns are supposed to be: funny, extremely talented. They've got one clown in particular that he'll make you laugh so hard you'll wet your pants. He's hilarious. And then, of course, the guy with the big top hat, he's incredibly talented. And I was just amazed at the incredible talent that they put on there at Circus Vargas. They are in town September 13th through the 23rd. So go ahead and check them out. You can get tickets. They're actually very, very reasonably priced. So if you're looking to fix up the place, doing a little work around the house, they're hosting SCVi Water Landscaping and Gardening Workshop, Waterwise Lawns. They're putting on a workshop called Waterwise Lawns, Thriving Turf Care and Sustainable Alternatives. So if you're interested in and maybe not using so much water to keep your lawn going, check them out at Bridgeport Park. That's tomorrow, Saturday, September 14th at 9 a.m. You can pop over there, get some ideas for your lawn, and then head on over to Higher Vision Church for the Patriot Day celebration. And also happening tomorrow, but tomorrow evening, is the Zonta of Santa Clarita Valley's 50th anniversary celebration. They're calling it Studio 74. They were founded in 1974, and so they're celebrating their 50th anniversary, a tribute to Zonta's 50 years in Santa Clarita. Unfortunately, they are sold out, so hopefully you already have tickets. You put on your bell bottoms and head on out there and do the hustle. I will be there with a couple of friends and with my mom of all people, because she can get down. She can electric slide with the best of them.
Was the 70s her time?
The 70s was absolutely Mom's time. Yes, it was. I'm not going to comment because Mom might be listening. But absolutely it was. And so we're going to be out there tomorrow evening. And also happening, if you didn't happen to get tickets to Zonta's Studio 74, you can head out to the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center there on the campus of College of the Canyons and and see an amazing musical act, Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. They will be performing tomorrow evening at the College of the Canyons Performing Arts Center. Also, another touching event. The Blue Star Mothers of Santa Clarita will be having one of their chapter meetings. That is September 17th, and so that's early next week. Come join us for our monthly meeting. Learn more about our great organization and events. Enjoy camaraderie, community, and support, whether you're a Blue Star mom, dad, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, wife, friend, etc., or you just want to support our military and veterans. All are welcome, and they hope to see you there. That is the chapter meeting of the Blue Star Mothers, September 17th. Something absolutely gorgeous, stunning that you might want to check out. This is something that's fun for the whole family. The Vasquez Rocks Twilight Hikes. That is taking place Sunday evening, September 15th. Of course, out at Vasquez Rocks. Go and explore the rocks. Just an amazing geological formation right up the road here in Agua Dulce during the magical twilight hours and early evening. It's going to be a full moon, and this is just a fun way to collaborate. They've got interpretive hikes that are led by trained staff and volunteers that will highlight the park's amazing natural and human histories. Actually, if you don't know the story of Vasquez Rocks and why they're named Vasquez Rocks, that's an amazing kind of story, very, very exciting about the rough and tumble times of the LA area's foundation. So go check them out. Natural beauty, interesting history, and fun for the whole family. Themes will vary and include Vasquez Rocks history, geology, cultural history, plants and animals. All ages are welcome, and all trails are, it says, trails are not currently stroller accessible, so you're going to have to carry the babies. So, and then finally, at the main, this is the Tavern Brawlers presents, The Underpants by Steve Martin. So, yeah, you want to head on out, you can check out Steve Martin's Underpants. So, yeah, enjoy a great weekend. You can get more information about all of these events on hometownstation.com. That is hometownstation.com. Have a great weekend. I'm Matt Watson. You're listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. We'll be right back on your hometown station, KHTS. All right, welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. Before we continue, we've got a little bit of an Eye on the Valley family update. We're only halfway through the show today, but apparently Big T has already hit bingo. I guess he had Carry the Babies and Steve Martin's Underpants on his bingo card. So congratulations, Big T. Wow, crazy. I do say in our intro that we like to have a little bit of fun during the show, and so who knew that Steve Martin's Underpants would come up now, 4 times on the show already? But let's get to my next guest. My next guest is the executive director and co-founder at Fostering Youth Independence, also known as FYI. Carolyn Olson grew up in Long Island, New York, graduating from Hop Hog High School. She received her bachelor's degree in business administration from Gordon College and enjoyed a very successful career in the banking industry. Following the birth of her first child, she left the corporate world to focus on raising her children and volunteering in the community because she's just a good person like that. But alas, as often is the case with highly dynamic people, Carolyn found a need and threw her full weight of support behind it. In 2016, Carolyn became a court-appointed special advocate and began working with a 17-year-old foster youth. But she quickly realized the unique challenges faced by youth transitioning to adulthood without parental support. As Carolyn began finding ways to help the young woman for whom she was advocating, she also developed a passion to use what she was learning to help as many foster youth as possible. And today, they're helping, just dozens of foster youth. Let's get into it. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome back to Eye on the Valley.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So glad to have you. I mentioned earlier in the show, you're one of my favorite guests just because the work that you're doing is so important, so impactful, and yet at the same time, it's work that we don't always see out there. It's not one of those things that's right in our face. Can you tell us a little bit more about your personal history and the history of fostering youth independence?
Sure. Well, as you mentioned, in 2016, I became a court-appointed special advocate, or CASA, which is a volunteer position, and I was assigned to work with a 17-year-old who was living in a group home. And the very first time I met her, she was very shy. She couldn't look me in the eye. She looked down and said, I want to go to college, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I think I'm supposed to take a test, but I don't know. So I started doing some research about the resources that are available for foster youth to go to college, and I found out that foster youth can attend any community college in California for free. Their academic fees are waived. In addition, if they've been in care after their 16th birthday, they are eligible for a Chafee grant, which is provided by the state of California. It's $5,000 a year. And then they're eligible for a Pell Grant just by filling out that FAFSA. They're eligible for a Pell Grant, which, based on the number of units that they take, they can receive up to $7,500 approximately per year. So since their academic fees are waived, that money that they receive from the grants, they can use to live or to save for a car. And so we often tell youth who come to us and say, well, I don't think I want to go to college. We break it down for them, like how much you make per hour to go to class versus what you could make at a minimum wage job.
Very
and we
pragmatic.
say, you know what, just try a class or two.
Yeah.
Like, you never know, you might enjoy it. And so a lot of times that's how the youth get kind of their foot in the door, and they go to college and they're like, wow, I do enjoy this, and I'm learning things, and now I'm thinking about possible careers and what I could be when I grow up. And so at any rate, when I learned that information as a CASA, got together with my friend Gina, who had been a former foster parent herself, and our other friend Stacy, and we said, you know what, we can take this information and we can help more foster youth, right? And also the model of the CASA, where you have one volunteer advocating for one child or youth, is a model that we could use in Santa Clarita, because we know we live in a caring community, and that people, if people knew about this opportunity, they would take it. And so we've seen that. We've trained 160 allies since we started in 2017. I shouldn't say trained. We've actually trained more than that, but that's how many have completed the process and become paired with youth.
Wow.
So we feel that between the resources and the support that we provide for the youth to go to college, and the one-on-one guidance and moral support that they get from their ally, they really have an excellent support system behind them to get that post-secondary education.
Yeah, and so college is one thing,
Right.
But let's talk about the many different ways that you all are helping out, and the differences between growing up as a foster youth versus those of us that grew up in a little bit more of a traditional family. Because some folks would say, okay, well, guidance for college, they have people at schools for that. But what are some of the differences? What are some of the things that folks don't necessarily realize that they benefited from growing up in a more nuclear family?
Well, first of all, our parents, as far as I know, didn't get paid to take care of us, versus kids in foster care. Their foster parents get paid to take care of them. And I hate to say anything disparaging, because I know there are some amazingly wonderful foster parents out there, but there are many, many foster parents who do it for the money, and they don't really have that care and concern for the child, and they're not really helping prepare them for adulthood, right? Like, our parents sort of had an exit plan for us, right? Like, they hoped that eventually we would graduate from high school and do something beyond high school and function independently on our own. And they had plans in place for us, and they encouraged us, and we could go to them and ask them for advice and help. And we had a safety net, right? So if we went to college and, it didn't work out, or we had no place, we couldn't stay in the dorm over the summer, so we went home. Like, these foster youth, if they live in a dorm, what do they do in the summer? We had a youth who was living in the dorm at CSUN, and COVID happened. And all the other kids went home to their families, and he didn't have a family. So he didn't have a place to go. So those are the kinds of things that we don't think about.
Yeah.
But these are challenges that foster youth face.
Yeah. And then some of those more, what we might consider mundane things. Since you and I have been meeting here at Eye on the Valley and having our conversations, I've become a more intentional parent with my children, knowing, hey, as an adult, I possess this knowledge, these skills that I really do need to be passing along.
Yeah.
I remember when my mom was paying the bills one day and I was a young teenager. She said, "Come here, come sit next to me." And, why? What? Because I'm paying the bills and I want you to see how this is done. She wanted me to learn how much life costs,
Right.
and then also what a responsible adult does. I remember her grabbing me when I was 18 and saying it's time to start building credit, and
Yeah.
this is how you do it responsibly, which is something that if you don't have guidance, gosh, you can fall into a really deep hole really quickly
Yeah.
as
Well,
a young adult.
Let me ask you this: who taught you how to drive?
That was my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. So foster youth typically don't learn how to drive because their foster parents don't want to or cannot take on the liability for them learning to drive. And then when they turn 18 and they leave their foster home, it's almost more challenging to learn to drive because now what car are they going to use and who's going to actually teach them? So we did start a program a few years ago called Ready, Set, Drive, where we
Nice.
help youth pass the written test. We do like a little classroom instruction, and then we pay for 3 behind the wheel driving lessons so they can learn how to drive and get a driver's license. Because often what happens is they start driving without a license, and that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
doesn't usually end well. So that's just something else that we take for granted, that your parents will teach you to drive. If you don't have parents or you have foster parents, then it's a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, it's really important work. And if you think of someone who's not getting these things handed to them by their parents like a lot of us were, you can see the tremendous gaps in a young adult's life
Right.
that so many of us can easily fill. It's not this really odd or unique set of skills that an ally needs to bring to the table.
Right. I think a big part of it is just the encouragement, because our youth have a lot of negative self-talk, and they've been told a lot of negative things, either by the unhealthy families, biological families that they came from, or the foster families. I mean, we have youth who don't think they're smart enough to go to college, or, if they attempt to do better in life, then their biological family says, "Oh, you think you're better than us." So our allies come along and just say, you can do this. Like, I see so much in you, and you have so much potential, and I can see great things for you. And then as they take these steps and they enroll in a class, good job, you enrolled in a class. Or they take a test, awesome, like, you passed your test, that's so great. And so just getting that little bit of encouragement every step of the way makes a huge difference, because these youth are not getting that anywhere else.
There is such tremendous value in just having someone in your corner. You're absolutely right. I had a little thing written about me the other day, and so I sent it over to my mom. Why did I send it to my mom? Because I wanted her to say, "Hey, great job, I'm proud of you."
Exactly.
That is so valuable.
And to that point, it's always so precious to me when I see at the end of a semester, my co-founder Gina, who has more one-on-one contact with the youth, she's the program director. So she and the other coordinators on our staff, they're all getting text messages from the youth going, "I got an A in my class. Or I did this or that." And just for us to be able to say, "I'm so proud of you," and send them those emojis, with the confetti and all that type of thing, just because they need to hear that we're proud of them, because nobody else is saying that. And I always say, like, how hard would you try if nobody cared? Right? Like, we all try to think, "Oh, I'm so self-motivated, I would always do my best." But would you? Like, if nobody else cared, would you always do your best?
Gosh, I'm going to say, fortunately, I don't know. And I don't think I
Sorry,
will
I didn't
ever
mean to
know.
put you on the spot.
No, because I do have such a strong network in my corner of people that do care.
Yeah.
And people who are looking out for me. And, I joke about my brother, but he rattled my cage a few months back, and he said, "Hey, you're better than this. You can do better. Come on, step up." And that inspired me to step into something new that I'm doing now that, I probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have taken the same action.
We all need people.
Yeah.
We all need encouragement.
Definitely. So, gosh, I think I might be allergic to maybe the hand lotion that you use or something like that. Every time you come in the studio with me, my eyes get a little watery. It's a good thing that I've got the box of Kleenex right here. No, it's just so inspirational. You're doing amazing work. So let's talk about the founding of FYI and what your mission is. You took these important skills to fill an incredible need. So what is that mission, and how does your organization step in? What do y'all do?
Our mission is to equip foster youth to complete a post-secondary education and become successful, independent adults. And I know I've talked about college, but college is not for everybody. We know that. And so we equip our youth to get a college education or to complete a trade program or to get a professional certification. And we've seen that. We have youth who have become licensed phlebotomists. We have a licensed pharmacy technician.
wow.
We have youth going to EMT school, certified nursing assistant, CNA. So we just want them to have something beyond a high school diploma in order for them to, do better economically in life. And speaking of high school diploma, I mean, we take in youth as young as 16.
Okay.
But we even have older youth who are still trying to complete their high school diploma. And so we have youth who are, doing the GED programs and that type of thing. And we're encouraging them to finish that step because only 55% of foster youth complete a high school diploma.
Yeah.
And only 3 to 4% ever graduate with a bachelor's degree. So those
Wow.
are the statistics that we are trying to change.
Wow. Gosh, we talk about gaps in different subgroups all the time, but I
Yeah.
think that's probably the deepest gap I've heard of in a long time. Wow.
Yeah.
So I mentioned earlier that foster youth is often an invisible need or an invisible population. We don't necessarily see, people don't wear it on their outward
Exactly.
appearance. So I don't know if the Santa Clarita community knows how great the need is here in our valley. Is it that great of a need, or are we talking about a relatively small population?
Well, it's interesting. People ask me, do we have foster youth in Santa Clarita?
Sure.
And of course we do. So LA County has the largest child protective services in the country. We have 30,000 open cases in LA County,
Wow.
ranging from infants through
Yeah.
teens. And so, of course, we have foster youth in Santa Clarita. We have helped 186 youth since we started 7 years ago. We currently
Wow.
have 83 youth in our program, and we know that there are more out there. But like you said, they don't self-identify. There's a stigma with being a foster youth, and I didn't realize it until I started working with foster youth myself.
Sure.
But people like us say, "Oh, I'm a CASA and I'm working with a foster youth," and I've been asked, "Oh, what did she do?" Well, she didn't do anything. Like, her dad went to jail and her mom couldn't take care of her, and so she ended up in foster care. So there's this stigma that,
Oh my gosh.
that these are bad kids and that they've done something to deserve foster care. But it's, the opposite. They
Sure.
haven't done anything. They've ended up in a situation that nobody wants to be part of. So that's one of the reasons why foster youth really don't disclose to people. Even a lot of them don't tell their friends that they are foster youth. So that's why you might not know how many there are here in the community.
Yeah, definitely. So you've talked a lot about your allies. So you provide allies for your clients, for the youth. Can you tell us what the role of an ally is? Because, like I said, you've inspired me as you've been coming in here to talk with us. But what's really involved in being an ally with FYI?
Sure. An ally is a person who's a little bit further along in their life journey than the youth is, who can provide the moral support and encouragement and guidance that the youth is lacking. So there are no special skills required to be an ally. You just have to have a passion for helping foster youth and a willingness to spend the time that they need to have you in their life.
So you've got to be a little older and you've got to care.
Yes,
Wow.
exactly.
Okay. So great qualifications. So I understand that over the summer you saw quite a bit of success and growth, and I want to kind of make room to talk about that. I always love hearing the stories of the success of your youth and what you and your team have been encouraging them to accomplish. But let's take a quick break, and we'll hear about that when we come back. Carolyn Olson is the co-founder and executive director of FYI, Fostering Youth Independence. They're doing just beautiful work for the foster youth here in Santa Clarita. When we get back, we'll talk about some of the successes, the growth, and how you can get involved when we get back. Stick around. I am Matt Watson. This is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I'm joined this morning by Carolyn Olson, co-founder and executive director of FYI, Fostering Youth Independence, and we're talking about some very serious and important stuff, but over the break we were talking about some very unserious and unimportant stuff, and it left me with a dangling question, Carolyn. We were talking about the one true way to eat an Oreo cookie, the correct way. Everybody knows there's many ways to eat an Oreo cookie, but we all know that there's one true way, one right way to eat an Oreo. What is it?
Well, I like to leave the cookie intact and dunk it in milk.
Okay, so you're a single
dunker?
cookie dunker. Okay,
Yes.
Okay. I go a little bit more intricately. I twist the top.
Oh, you do? You're a
and I
twister.
dunk
Okay.
the non-cream top, and then I do it again. And then I take the now open-faced Oreos, if you will, and create an artificial double stuffed.
Ah.
So there we
right.
go. What about you? What do you think the correct way to eat it? Jen, what's the correct way to eat an Oreo? Carolyn and I must be wrong, right?
No, I agree with Carolyn.
Oh,
Just
okay.
dunk it. Keep
All
it
right.
intact. Yeah. That's
There we go.
You get both flavors together.
There we go. Okay. All right. So while you rush to the pantry and grab an Oreo, let's continue to talk about fostering youth independence. Carolyn, I understand that this summer has been quite a successful summer at FYI. You've experienced some growth. You've had some teens experience some tremendous success. Can you talk to us about what summer was like for FYI?
We were very busy this summer. So it started in the middle of July 15th to be exact. From July 15th till the end of August, we had 17 new youth join our program. And they were referred by every source you can think of. Some were referred by a social worker. Some were referred by the Inspire Scholars, the foster youth program at College of the Canyons. One was referred by her cousin who's in our program. One was referred by his roommate who's in our program. So we've got siblings and all sorts of family connections. But this tends to be our busy time because as youth think about going back to school or starting college for the first time and they hear about the support we have to offer, that's the time that they reach out to us and ask if they can be part of our program. So we did help 11 youth enroll at COC for the very first time. So that was a big success.
Nice.
And then we have some younger youth who are still working on their high school diploma. But this group seems very excited and very determined to succeed in school.
All right.
We have a program called the Study Place, which we started during the pandemic.
Yes.
It takes place on Monday and Thursday afternoons from 12:30 to 4:30. We provide academic support, tutoring, free lunch. And the Study Place has been more popular this school year than ever before. We've had at least 15 youth attend every session, and they're taking advantage of the tutors more than ever, and we just see like a real seriousness and a real excitement and motivation about doing well in school. So we're happy to see that.
Well, of course you're seeing that because they've got folks behind them who believe in them and are telling them they can do it and motivating them. And
Yeah.
it's reaping its rewards. You mentioned some of the ways that your clients have connected with you through referrals. Is that typically how your clients come to you? How does FYI connect with youth who can benefit from your services?
Yeah, so when we first started, our referrals were mostly from social workers and from Dora Lozano and the Inspire Scholars program at College of the Canyons. But as we've grown, we've gotten more and more referrals from the youth in our program, and those are our favorites because that's a testament to
Yes.
their trust in us and the support that we provide. So we do have sibling sets. We have one sibling set of 4, 3
wow.
sisters and a brother, and they're very proud of that they're the largest sibling set at FYI. They beat the record because there used to be just 3, and then they brought in their younger sister as soon as she turned 16. But one really sweet story is that, so we have a young man who joined several years ago, and then he brought in his sister last year, and then this year during this big growth experience that we had, they brought in their cousin who's only 16. And so the cousin, a young woman, she was at the study place and she was talking to some of the other foster youth, and one young man said, who had just met her for the first time, said, "This is going to be your first Christmas at a FYI. This is going to be the best Christmas you ever had." And I thought, how sweet that, that how he feels that way about our program and what we do at the holidays, which is really special. But yeah, it was just really sweet to hear. And just, the way that the youth encourage each other is always really special too. Yeah.
That is so exciting. It's the stories like that, right, that are the best way to explain how life-changing an organization such as FYI is, to tell the impactful stories of the youth that you've served. So I know you do so. Yes, please, hang on just a second. I gotta
get your tissues handy.
Get the Kleenex here.
So we have
right.
a young man who just joined in August, and he was referred by his social worker at the transitional housing program where he lived, which was actually out in the Antelope Valley. So this young man was 21 years old, had never gone to college, didn't really have any idea what he wanted to do with his life, and his social worker through the housing program happened to be one of our allies. And so she told him about FYI, and she said their requirement is you have to go to school or live in the Santa Clarita Valley. And so he said, okay, well, what if I enroll at College of the Canyons? Can I be part of FYI?
There
so
you
she
go.
said, sure. So he went and got himself enrolled at COC so that he could be part of FYI. And then he came in and he did his welcome meeting and he joined our program. And then the following week was his first day of classes at COC. And then after that, he came to the study place and he brought his roommate with him. And he said, this is my roommate. He wants to be part of FYI too. So he signed up for all the same classes that I did. And we rode the train together. And can he be part of FYI too? And we said, of course. So, another example of how these youth help each other out and, spread the news about what we can offer them.
That is beautiful. They do develop kind of a community within themselves when they can, right?
Definitely, because even though their situations are unique, they all have something in common. They've all been through the system, and they have those commonalities. They faced a lot of the same struggles, and it is really special to see how they support and encourage each other.
Yeah. It's interesting. I was teaching fourth grade, this is years ago, and there was one little boy in my class who I was well aware of, and he was dealing with some issues, and he oftentimes would either literally and physically sit kind of on the outside of the group, but emotionally and metaphorically, he would keep himself very much on the outside of the group until one day we were just kind of talking, and I was bonding with my kids, doing that social emotional learning component that you do, and we were asking the learners, what was the best day of your life? And one of the other boys in class stood up, and this is one of the kids who's really excelling academically, and he was really competitive, and so he excels out on the playground as well, and he was one of the popular kids, and he says, the best day of my life was the day I was adopted. And this other little boy just lit up, and he says, you're adopted too? And so, the two of them connected. I could see the same type of thing happening with foster youth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have you got anything else that you can share that might inspire our listeners? Because in a minute, I'm going to ask them if they're interested in helping out.
Sure. So we had another young woman who joined during that same time period. We had a back-to-school bash in August. And so during that week of the bash, we were trying to get these new youth in so they could come to the event and get the school supplies and hear our career panel and all the rest. So this one young woman came to us, and she was in a pretty desperate situation. She had just turned 18, and she had gotten into an argument with her foster parents, and her foster parents said, you're not welcome here anymore. And they kicked her out. So when she came to us, she was literally homeless. She had a backpack with just a very few things, and she had already enrolled at College of the Canyons, but she didn't have a home. So she had a sibling who she could stay with for a couple of nights, and in the meantime, we did find a room for her to rent here in Santa Clarita, and her social worker had to come inspect that, and it was very telling because there was no sense of urgency on the part of the social worker to make sure that she got into housing. She even at one point asked Gina, my co-founder, is there any way like you could take me to Walmart? Because I don't even have any underwear. Like I just left my house with the, my foster
I'm
home
wearing,
with what
yeah.
was on my back. So we helped her with that. And then once she got into this room that she's renting, we helped her get some furnishings for her room through some grant funding that we have. And now she's paired with an ally. But she's told us, she's like, I don't know what I would have done if FYI hadn't have been there when I needed you. So, and we have had several homeless youth come to us, and even though we're not a housing agency, just through our connections in the community, we've been able to find housing for 70 youth since we started 7 years ago. So that's just another aspect of what we do that's not central to our mission, but like I always say, like how can you succeed in school if you're sleeping in your car or
Sure.
on a park bench? So that is just, something that we do that's not central to our mission, but another way that we can provide some help.
It's interesting because the foster care system is designed so that kids have someone to take care of them, but it's not a coincidence and it's not for lack of work. I've mentioned my friend to you who works with our foster and homeless youth in our schools. And that's the same way in schools all across the country. The two conditions often do go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you mentioned in order to qualify for FYI services, the requirement is the youth either live or study here in Santa Clarita.
Correct.
Do you do anything else as part of the intake process? There's an age requirement. They've got to be 16.
Right. They're
What else?
16 to 25 when they join FYI,
Okay.
but we don't have a hard out at age 26. We ask them to stay in our program until they reach their educational goals or age 30, whichever comes first. Excuse me. So when we get a referral, Gina, our program director, she calls the youth and she explains the requirements of our program, which are, like you said, you must live or go to school in Santa Clarita. You must desire some type of post-secondary education, if not
Okay.
college, another program.
Trades, what have
and
you,
you have
yeah.
to be willing to have a relationship with a caring adult ally, which doesn't seem like a big requirement, but for a lot of youth that's scary because they have trust issues because the people they've trusted to take care of them have let them down. So for a lot of youth it's scary and they're not sure, but most of them will say, yes, I'll give it a try, and then it works out
Sure.
great. It just takes a little bit of time for them to build that trust.
And understand that those allies truly are allies. They're in their corner. They're there to support them.
Right, but then once they complete that phone call, then they come in. We used to call our meetings intakes and then realize that sounds too clinical, so now we call them welcome meetings.
Oh, great.
So they come in and they fill out an application and they give us a lot of information about their likes, their dislikes, where they are in their educational journey, what their goals are, if they've even had the opportunity to think about goals, which many of them have not. And then after that meeting, then the coordinator and Gina will look at our list of available allies and do a match, just do a pairing based on common interests or maybe career goals and versus career experiences that the ally has had.
Sure.
And then schedule a meeting where it's an introduction meeting where the youth and the ally meet in the FY office with the coordinator. And again, they get to know each other a little bit. And then after that meeting, then they're on their own. And so the ally and the youth just set up times to get together and do fun things and get to know one another.
Well, we were talking before we started. They're independent, but they're not on their own. The allies that work with your youth and your youth have tremendous support.
Yes.
You mentioned the study place. You also have support meetings for your allies as they
Yes.
come up against issues and or questions and things like that. So you
Yes.
provide wraparound support for both your youth and your allies.
Right. We don't just leave everybody
Right.
hanging out to figure it out on their own.
Right. It is flexible and they get to work within their own schedules, the two of them. But
Yeah, the other thing
Yeah.
that I want to mention is that we've kind of changed our philosophy since we started. We originally thought that the ally would take on more of the tasks like helping the youth fill out their FAFSA financial aid forms and helping
Right.
them enroll in classes and doing some of these different tasks. And then we realized that, number one, a lot of allies weren't comfortable with that. And number two, We didn't want it to be a task-oriented relationship.
Okay.
Like, we didn't want the ally to come in with the clipboard saying, did you do this? Did you do that?
Check.
Because nobody really likes that, right?
Yeah.
So we've taken that responsibility off of the allies, and that's what our coordinators do in the office. We take care of those tasks, and the allies' job is just to have a relationship with the youth and not to worry about whether they're getting stuff done, because that's what we take care of in the office.
Okay. So once again, you got to be a little older and you got to care. If I
exactly.
meet those qualifications, Carolyn, what do I do if I want to be an ally for foster youth?
Okay, so we have a training session coming up on September 24th.
Right around the
in
corner.
the evening. It's from 6 to 8 p.m. It's at Christ Lutheran Church in their fellowship center, and it doesn't obligate you to become an ally if you attend the session. It's really informational.
love
So
that.
we'll tell you a little bit about some of the challenges foster youth face, why we exist, which we've already discussed here today, and then just kind of how to build a relationship, what you can expect, what some of the challenges will be, and then some of the resources that are available. And then if the attendee wishes to proceed, they turn in a volunteer application. They list a couple of personal references. We do reach out and contact those people, and just via a Google form that they complete. And then Gina will do a phone interview. And then once those steps are completed, then we send you the instructions to be live scanned. We just send you over to the industrial park, to California Fingerprinting Authority to be live scanned. That's a promise that we made to DCFS, that we would screen all of our volunteers.
Sure.
And then once that's all taken care of, then you're official, then you're an ally. Then you go on a waiting list. Sometimes you're on the waiting list for hours. Sometimes it's weeks. It just depends. During that busy time,
Sure.
when we were having all those youth join, we were, really on top of
Firing
those
through the list,
trainees
yeah.
going, did you get live scan? Did you live scan? Like, we need you right now.
Yeah.
Other times, it may be weeks, it may be even a couple months, because it's not a first come, first serve type of basis. We really do our best to try to match personalities and interests. So.
The right matchup.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
exactly.
Fantastic. And I love that you let adults get the training and then decide, right?
Right, exactly.
They may realize, ooh, this isn't something I'm ready for,
Right.
or something like that. So folks can just go to your website, fyifosteryouth.org.
Correct.
I notice you've got a donate button. You need donations?
We sure do.
All right. So if this is something that you're able to get behind, whether it's giving your time and your love to someone who's aged out of the foster or aging out of the foster care system, but really does need just someone who cares in their corner, check them out at fyifosteryouth.org. Or if you've, you know what, you and I were at a meeting yesterday and we were talking about monthly giving. If you can just sign up to give $5, $10, it's less than your Starbucks every day. Give monthly to FYI, fyifosteryouth.org. Carolyn Olson, co-founder and executive director of Fostering Youth Independence, FYI. Thank you so much for everything that you and your team do. You're really inspirational. I look forward to having you back very soon. You have a great weekend.
Great. Thanks, you too.
This is SCVi, and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. You stick around. We're about to horse around with my big brother. He's calling in. Big T, give me a buzz. This is your hometown station, KHTS. Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi, and iLead School's Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and it is now time for Big T's 5 Minutes of Fame. Hey, Big T, we're going to skip the long introduction this morning because everybody knows what a great guy you are. Everybody knows that you're mom's favorite. But what everybody doesn't realize is we talked about your bingo card. We were talking with Carolyn about her favorite way to eat Oreo cookies. You had Oreos on your bingo card as well?
I did.
Where were your Oreos?
Right underneath Steve Martin's underpants.
Gross.
I don't know if that's a good spot.
Oh, boy. Okay, well, enjoy that snack. Hey, Big T, we've only got about, maybe 5-6 minutes. So let's jump right into it. I know you've got Papa's Pick of the Week. You may have a fun fact, and then you've got some trivia. So let's get to it.
Sure. So Papa is 2-0. He's off to a great start. Last week he took Iowa State, an underdog that actually won outright.
Right.
This week, Papa is taking Utah and laying 18.
Give me 2. Oh, give me 18. Wow.
Right.
All right. So he's laying the 18 points. Okay.
Yep.
Again,
Hey,
just for
I had a-
entertainment purposes, kids.
Entertainment purposes only. Hey, I had a good college football fun fact, but given we're short a little bit on time, I just wanted to share, I was thinking about it this week. going back to the clubs back in the 80s and 90s that I used to go to, those grooving DJs and their wicked mixes, changing songs every 90 seconds or so, didn't really help Big T's ADHD. In fact, I think it might have fueled it.
Yeah. T, I've ridden in the car with you. I know that. You don't listen to a song for more than
button pusher.
90 seconds. Oh, he
Gotta
is.
go, gotta go.
He is. He gets to the hook and boom, he's moving on. Hey, T, Engineer Andrew couldn't join us this morning because, quite frankly, because he's scared. It's been a few weeks since he's gotten the W, and Jen is tanned. She's rested. She's back. So it's just going to be the two of us. You've got questions for us. Jen and I are going to hit our buzzers, but you at home have a significant competitive advantage. You don't have to buzz in. Just shout out your answer and see if you can beat us. Big T, let's do it.
Perfect. So first question is related to baseball movies. Who played Mr. Myrtle in Sandlot and Terrence Mann in Field of Dreams?
Oh,
Jen.
Go ahead, Jen.
You got Jen first.
James Earl Jones.
That is James Earl Jones. God rest his soul.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, we lost a great one this past week, and I just watched Field of Dreams the other night. They were playing James Earl Jones movies, and he was phenomenal.
He's amazing. That movie will make me cry every time, without fail.
Oh, yeah. You want to have a catch, Jen?
Hey, initially not credited in the first two movies, who was the voice of Darth Vader in Star Wars?
Frogger.
Frogger.
That was James Earl Jones.
Ooh, say it again.
Mufasa.
What college did James Earl Jones graduate from? I can give you a hint if you want.
Not yet. Frogger.
Frogger.
I just hope that he would be able to say over and over and over again, Harvard.
No, but that would be beautiful, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You got a guess?
Well, what's your hint? I'll take your hint.
There we go.
I'm not above a
The
hint.
hint is they won a national championship in football last year.
Oh, geez, come on. Give me a hint. I would be able to use. Go ahead, Frogger.
I won't take the point, but that must be Michigan.
It is Michigan. So in 1969, who was the first celebrity ever to appear in person on Sesame Street?
Frogger.
Wow.
Frogger.
James Earl Jones.
Indeed.
When in
it
doubt.
is.
Boom.
And that will take us from Frogger's triumphant scores with James Earl Jones into his Achilles heel. How many days are there in 12 weeks?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, gosh. Stop.
Frogger. 84.
84 is correct.
I'm doing my gazintas.
Doing math.
What is the distance around a circle called?
Jen.
Jen.
Diameter. Parameter.
Frogger.
Frogger.
Circumference.
Circumference is correct.
Fourth grade teaching really does help out sometimes.
What's the bottom number of a fraction called?
Jen.
Jen.
The denominator.
Denominator's correct. What's the Roman numeral for 50?
Frogger.
Frogger.
Is it L?
L's correct.
Yay!
What is the Roman numeral value of XC?
Oh, jeez.
Jen.
Jen.
I don't know. 110.
Incorrect.
Frogger, the other way. 90.
I missed what you said, Frogger.
90. 90.
Frogger.
90. 90. You there, Big T?
Oh.
I think we lost Big T.
Uh-oh.
All right, no big deal. I think we have to wrap it up
Yes.
anyways. Big T, even though you can't hear me, I want to thank you for swinging by, and I also I want to check. Well, let's not worry about checking the scores. This is your
Frogger,
first
I
week
lost
back.
you.
Yeah. We'll see you later, Big T. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. But, thanks again, Big T, for swinging by. We want to thank our guests for coming in. We had iLead Lancaster's director. That is your free public charter school option, TK through 8 in Central Lancaster. Deborah Autry is their director. They're doing amazing things. Check them out at iLeadLancaster.org. Carolyn Olson, co-founder and executive director of Fostering Youth Independence, FYI. You can check them out at FYIFosterYouth.org. Volunteer or donate. Send them a couple of bucks. They're doing great things with foster youth. I want to thank producer Sarah, engineer Andrew, engineer Jen, and thank you for listening, folks. Remember, life is hard, but we're all here to help each other along. Be well and do good. And join us again next week and every Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and iLead School's Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.